Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today's video brought to you by Celtic.com, so make sure to check out the link to their description in the top line of the description, and you can check out some more articles, videos such over there that relate to Celtic. But today I've decided it's time to sit down. We're going to talk about the season that has just ended a couple of days ago. Going to go through it, going to give my season review kind of thing, how I think it's went and how we kind of go on now, how we move forward after two very successful back-to-back seasons and back-to-back trebles under Brendan Rodgers. A very good time, very happy time to be a Celtic fan. Now, over the weekend, I know I never done a match preview or review for the Motherwell game. Surprisingly, usually I always do them, just kind of never found the time to get them out, which is annoying. And also, hopefully, in the next week, I'll have my kind of season look-back video, which I done last year. Also, the link to that will be in the description, where I kind of took the whole season and put it into one video. It wasn't me giving my thoughts, it was me just kind of looking back over the season and showing the kind of momentous occasions and such. Hopefully I'll have another one of those out. It takes a little bit to edit them though, a lot of effort went into that last year. So hopefully I can get that out over the next 1 week or whatever. So anyway, 2017 to 18 was always going to be a difficult year for Celtic. We walked into the season coming off the back of the most successful domestic season in the club's history, statistically, and if not the most successful season just in general since 1967 at least. We had a phenomenal season, and people always love to say, oh, that's only because of the state of Scottish football, you wouldn't have done it if it was the 70s, etc. But you still cannot overlook the pedigree of what we've done and the kind of the prestigiousness behind that whole season. The Invincible season was always going to be hard to follow up on. Now, going into this season, there was people that said, why don't we go for it again? Can we do it again? Will we do it again? Will we go a whole season invincible? And even at that, what was the likelihood of us coming into this season and defending our treble and retaining the treble? It's never been done before. Well, it never was done before. No one had ever won back-to-back trebles. It was unheard of. So we came into this season with a lot on our shoulders, a lot to live up to. We made improvements. We made good signings. I think, there was a lot, because we didn't lose anyone really. There was no one who left the club, from the year before that, would have changed anything drastically. It's not like we lost Scott Sinclair or Mr. Dembele. We managed to hold on to our best players, so we did have a lot to live up to. Now, the main question was to build, and the main point is, could we and should we be building on what we done the year before in European competition? And this year there was advancements in that. So this year, and I've heard people saying it, and even I think Brendan Rodgers even came out and said at a press conference one point this season, arguably this season was better than last season in some people's eyes. For me, no, it wasn't, because we didn't get that invincible season behind us and such. But there was points this year where people were complaining. People were actually doubting Brendan Rodgers, and they were just being overly harsh. By no means was this season a failure. And now everyone's jumping back on like, we're all happy now. But there were genuinely points this season which really pissed me off, because people were questioning whether we're good enough, whether we'll be winning a treble, whether Brendan Rodgers has, got a clue of what he's doing. There were people, and that was a small minority of fans, but dominating. But now we're all okay. We've had a very successful season, and we've done the important thing of defending the treble. And in the league, I think the main problem about this season was that kind of consistency aspect to performances. I think that was where a lot of people's problems came in this year. That was quite annoying. We were very silly this year. I don't think we were clinical enough. I think we sat back and relaxed too much this season. Hopefully next season we're kind of more ruthless and dangerous when it comes to the smaller games, especially. I think there's been a lot of times this year at Parkhead, we've seen it away from home, where the team have just been far too relaxed, too casual, just kind of passing the ball side to side kind of thing. And we've not really been going for the game, even, been winning games 1-0 here and there, we've been drawing games. This season was a big problem with the amount of games we drew in the league. Ultimately, we still won the league, that's what matters, so who cares if we drew a big amount of games, because we still won the league title at the end of it. But that is quite annoying, because 1 week you could go from beating Rangers 5-0, playing some very entertaining football, to then dropping points the next week and struggling against a smaller side. I think a lot of teams have now came to the point where they have a system to frustrating Celtic and trying their best to stop Celtic from getting a result off them, because a lot of teams just want to save themselves from embarrassment now, so we're forced to only beat teams by margins of 1 or 2 goals, because a lot of teams are just wanting to avoid the embarrassment of, you see what happens to Rangers open up, they become a little bit loose, and we've embarrassed them time and time again, and we could do even more damage to those smaller teams. But I think the main problem was we're just a little bit too relaxed sometimes, and I think we go into the game, the squad go into the game, are thinking, look, we've got this, got it under the bag, and more times this year I'd love to see us be a bit more ruthless. But by no means do I think we had a bad league campaign. You know, we did lose a few games, we weren't invincible, there were games where we struggled, a lot of teams offered problems to us throughout the season. Kilmarnock come to mind, Hibernian come to mind, those two teams especially. I hate that stupid phone. And you know, it shows that there is a competitive nature in the league. A lot of people like to dismiss that there's a competitive side to our league and that Celtic are just constantly on the way with it. No. Managers have came here and teams have improved along with Celtic over the past season. We improved and other teams also improved by their managerial appointments and by their signings. Now I think at the very start of this season, I think Brendan Rodgers made decent signings. Very good signing. I think we signed well. You know, I was happy with the signing of Olivier Ntcham. I didn't know much about him, but he's came in, he's been a success. There's one thing to look over the course of the season, how he's done. One signing that didn't turn out as well was Johnny Hayes. Really struggled to get his place in the team, and when he did get his place in the team, you know, 6-month injury, so not really too successful for him. We signed Odson Edouard on loan, who has turned out to be a fan favourite now. People dying to see him sign a permanent contract and not go back to PSG, and in all likelihood that could happen. It looks as though there's a realistic opportunity of him signing a full-time contract at the club. We made some decent signings at the start of the season, but I think the one thing people still need to look at, and the board, I mean, and the management, we still need defenders. One thing we weren't good at was signing defenders. We brought in Comper, we brought in Hendry, and really Hendry's still very raw. I think he showed that. I don't think he is ready to play, you know, the bigger games for Celtic. Comper has disappeared off the face of the earth after me dying to see him do something. And then, you know, we've got Boyata, who's inconsistent, because he's been playing really well recently. I'll give him his due, because I'm always on here saying how much I don't like him and how much I think, you know, he's he's a big blunder and a big bottle merchant. Simunovic just decreased in quality as the season went on after the Hearts game. Ayer, I still think is a good player for his age, but he's still got improving to do. And Sviatchenko's looking to struggle to get a place in the team. So next season, we've surely got to look back on this season and see that there's defensive improvements certainly to be made. We made the other signings in Bain, a very good sign I think there, because we've found ourselves a good solid backup keeper who could potentially be a first team keeper if we need him to be. And Masonda was really the only other howler. So in the signings front, it wasn't amazing. I think we signed well though, because Ntcham was a roaring success, Edouard was a roaring success, and you know, if we have those two players playing that well, then I think we did have a good window altogether, because we didn't spend too much money, so it's not like we've lost out on too much. Ultimately, the disappointment was that knockout to Zenit St. Petersburg in the last 32 of the Europa League. We wanted to build though, and everybody likes to laugh at Celtic in Europe. They love to think it's humiliating when we get beat off teams 7-0, 5-0 here, there, and you know, off PSG and Bayern Munich, teams like that. But there certainly was improvement, but there is improvement still to be made. Look, last season under Brendan Rodgers, in that invincible season, we didn't make the Europa League. We didn't make the last 32. This year we did. So there is improvement there, there's no doubt about that. And we had equally a hard group. Equally a hard group as what we did the season before. We had Barcelona, Manchester City and Borussia Mönchengladbach. This year, we had Anderlecht, Bayern Munich and PSG, if not a harder group. Because Anderlecht are the Belgian champions, and Borussia Mönchengladbach were the fourth best team in Germany that season. So, you know, arguably we did have a harder group, so we did make progress. We got a big away win. We brought Bayern Munich to, you know, their top game to beat us. You know, at Celtic Park, it took them a lot to get by us. We were very good that night, and something to be very proud of. And ultimately, it got us to that last 32. So improvement was made on the European front, and that is good to see. But we need to go further, because our arse collapsed too many times. We need to have a strong backbone in the team. We've got to have some more confidence. We've got to be able to go for it. And we've got to try and avoid these embarrassments to PSG and such. And that is difficult when they're outspending 500 million quid on players and we're outspending pennies compared to them. But we need to get that sort of belief installed in the team and that little bit of, you know, security at the back to make sure we can actually get something positive, at least at home, because 5-0 to PSG, losing at home, isn't what we pay to see ultimately, and it's not what we should be expecting to see. But improvement was made on a European standard, and I hope that continues into next season. I have faith that Brendan Rodgers will, because I do think there will be some investment in the team this season. I think Peter Law has looked at the team, he's looked at what Brendan Rodgers wants and needs. We've already started by handing Rogic this contract, we've signed Scott Bain permanently. I think this is going to be a big summer for Celtic. I think we're going to make advancements to try and up that European pedigree, because that is the next step. We've done domestically, Brendan Rodgers has done everything he could do to make himself an icon at Celtic Football Club, so we need to take that step. Whether that's a quarter-final, a semi-final, whatever, we need to go further. And if it's advancing from the Champions League group stage, we need the investment and the players to do it. One thing for this season I think it's been great is watching the development of players. So one thing I'm going to be always happy about the 17-18 campaign is that development of players who necessarily weren't as good as what they were before. Christopher Ayer, who never really got a look in, came into the team. He is now the starting centre half of the club in the team week in, week out, and he has got some great qualities. He has just been getting better week by week, it seems. There's been other players who are just getting better week by week. And Cham started the season quite poorly, I would say. I think he was, not poorly, but not £3-4 million good. But over time, he has just flourished and shown how good he can be. McGregor, week in, week out, gets even better. Edouard, week in, week out, got better. Forrest this season, the development of him as to the season previous. I think it was fantastic to watch how players did develop this year. There was one, thing that overshadows that, and that was maybe the decline in some players. Mikael Lustig had not a great season. So, Scott Sinclair, yes, I think he did finish as top goal scorer, but he certainly did not live up to the standards and expectations that we may have wanted after his season last year. So there were some downsides as to player development goes, but on the whole I think player development went really well. Young players were given chances here and there, and Scott Bain, there's one. I think we have done fantastic at developing players and giving them a chance this year, so that's one thing I'll be happy about from this season. But ultimately, as I come to wrapping up the video, the thing we can all be happy with is a double treble. We need to sit down, we need to appreciate moments like this. And I'm probably going to make a video specifically talking about Celtic's achievements under Brendan Rodgers, because it's one thing that English fans and other fans will never understand. And they're always going to come to my comment sections, they're always going to go to BBC comment sections on Facebook, Twitter, going to go to, sports scenes, sports sounds, talk sports, whatever. And people are just going to ultimately always degrade what Celtic have done, try their best to knock it down. Ultimately, we have done something that, how many times am I going to see it in my lifetime? How many? How many times have anybody seen it in their lifetime? 0. And we've done it now. It's massive. And history just keeps getting made by the man at the helm right now, and that's Brendan Rodgers. And it's a fantastic time to be a Celtic fan. And I don't think there can be any complaints from this season, no matter how boring you think we may have played at times and how silly and sloppy we have been to drop certain points. When you look at the grand scheme of things, we walked away with every trophy once again this season, and we are running Scottish football, and that's what matters. So, happy days. I'm looking forward to seeing where we go next year, but this season for me has been fantastic, and maybe it doesn't live up to an invincible treble season, but certainly it runs very close, and I'm just as happy with how this season has gone. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to check out celtsarehere.com if you enjoyed, like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.